Robert Montgomery Belt, you've got a couple of reports on Rangers and what they might be doing at the deadline as they have won 4 in a row. The offense has come alive here in the last 2 games.
Yeah, we actually these were a couple ones that Eric had sent over last night. I know there's one from Evan Grant that he'll get to here in a sec, but Ken Rosenthal reported over at The Athletic yesterday. Same sort of thing that we've been hearing about the Rangers, which is that they are yet to determine their course. He says that after sweeping Tampa Bay and winning 5 of their past 7, perhaps they're about to go on a long-awaited run, but they remain 7.5 back in the race for the 3rd American League wildcard, and their playoff odds are hovering around 10%. Their front office is doing what every responsible front office does at this time of year, planning for buy and sell contingencies. He goes down a little bit. He says the difference between the Rangers and the 2014 Red Sox is that the Rangers would not necessarily limit their conversations to mostly players on expiring contracts, according to sources briefed on their thinking. They also could move players under control beyond this season in an attempt to compete again quickly in 2025. So you could potentially see them moving on from somebody who's under contract much longer than just an expiring deal like a Scherzer. So does that put into play potentially Eovaldi? Or does it put into play other guys that maybe you're looking at saying, hey, we've got maybe a logjam in, the infield or out in the outfield. Let's look and clear things up a little bit so some of these prospects can clear. Or in order to get ready win-now pieces. The players on expiring contracts he mentions, Michael Lorenzen, Heaney, Jose Urena, David Robertson, Kirby Yates, and then he mentions Nathan Eovaldi, Max Scherzer. He said in a market short on position players, the Rangers could listen on first baseman Nathaniel Lowe, center fielder Leody Taveras, and perhaps even Adolis Garcia. I would say perhaps even Adolis Garcia, putting it that way. That one doesn't surprise me that much. So
No.
I wouldn't feel like that's they might even be willing to. The one that in there makes me go, really, is if you were to say perhaps even Nathaniel Lowe. Just because, that's the one that
He's been on a tear. He's been on a real hot he's been on a heater.
I would much rather trade Adolis Garcia than Nathaniel Lowe.
I don't have a problem with Lowe. I mean, I think they need an upgrade at first because first base is a much more power position than what he offers.
Could stand to use it, but I mean, you're also making up for it by having the best, in terms of your infield,
best
in terms of
shortstop
you have
at
the
second base.
best power hitting shortstop in the game.
And the
arguably.
idea of moving on from Garcia, obviously you have the age factor.
31, 32. He's not aging. I don't think they think he's aging well.
Yeah, which is to be expected. I mean, at that size, playing in the
have a
outfield.
neck.
Yeah, exactly, which I admire.
I
know you do too.
I don't have a neck either. That's because my neck has been shrunk. It's an inch. He's got a 4-inch neck that's 50 inches wide. It's insane.
Yeah,
that's most people's thigh.
The other name he throws in here is John Gray as a potential. And I think Gray is interesting because of, like you've talked about, Chop, the logjam that's in the rotation. And the fact that John Gray he had a really dominant stretch earlier this season where he was pitching really well for about 2 straight months. Just was dominant basically after his first start. And he's been somebody who's been pretty consistent. He is a pretty reliable, roughly 3.9, 4 flat ERA guy, which that's not the top of the rotation, but that's definitely a guy that could end up in somebody's playoff rotation.
The one that throws me is Jonah Heim. You have a catcher who...
He's like the 20th highest paid catcher in baseball.
Yeah, you've got a switch-hitting catcher who can hit.
Can frame the hell out of a pitch.
And his runs saved, framing runs saved or whatever is always near the top of the league. And unless the Rangers know that next year or in 2 years they're going to go to an automated strike zone and that won't matter anymore, I don't understand moving on because he's not old.
No.
How old is he? 28, 29?
And he's not expensive.
He's 29.
Okay.
Now, he's not hit as well this year, obviously.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
But that's why it sucks is you're selling, any of these bats that you're trading, you're just selling low on.
Yeah, so now, unless they're saying he had a career year last year, this is who he is. Unless that's what they know.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, then, they would know better than we would. I mean, they're around these guys every day. But yeah, I am very, very slow to give up on a catcher who can hit.
Yeah, and just giving up on guys that you have control. If you're gonna punt on John Gray, he's under contract for $13 million next season. But then there's another. you're gonna need somebody else in the offseason to come in from a rotation standpoint.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you would hope by that point, right? Like you're looking at it and saying, you hope DeGrom's back by then. If you don't move, Scherzer, you bring him back. You would have potentially DeGrom, Scherzer, Malley, Evaldi clicking into place, and then someone else.
Yeah, and that's assuming Scherzer is coming back.
Right, yeah, we're just I mean, you've got options because right now, when everybody's healthy, you have more starting pitchers than you have rotation spots by a couple.
Yeah, and if you're going to move on from one of your outfield guys, you're just saying, like, if you're trading Leote or Garcia, then you're just saying, all right, we're not going to have the same type of outfield depth, and we're going to trust that Evan Carter's going to be the guy that he showed that he could be for the postseason run last year, but hasn't showed really an ounce of that to this point in the season. Obviously banged up, so we'll see when he returns, but you're kind of losing some depth there. And again, like you trade Leote Taveras, he's not expensive. Like, how much money are you actually saving here? To me, this is just you don't want to be spending money. You still have questions about the TV stuff. And to me, this isn't, we're selling off small money now so that we can have money in the offseason. Like, if the TV stuff doesn't get handled, Ray Davis is not going to spend any money. So you're just getting
I don't
worse.
think the TV deal is going to get fixed this year.
That's what I'm saying. So going into like next off season, why would I expect Ray Davis to decide he's going to spend now because he traded $4 million away in Leote Taveras? Like, no.
Yeah, but I mean, that's not a money saving move. That may just be more about, look, when we get Carter and Langford and the way we're trying to set our outfield, like, we need spots.
Well, you're not going to. I wouldn't think you're going to trade both Leote and
no, you would move one
Adolis in the same offseason. And I mean, Leote had a pretty awful June.
I mean, Leote goes through these stretches.
Yeah, like there was a time 1, 3, 4, 6. He had 9 hits in the last 3 weeks of June. He had 11 hits in the entire month, and 4 of them came in the last week. Or last 5 days. He had 11 hits in the entire month of June. Like, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, his last 18 games though have been pretty yes, awesome.
He's got, but him and Lowe have started to kind of come around at the same time, and here we are, 4-game win streak.
2-1-4. Please don't trade Langford. He's fun to watch. I don't think there's any chance they would trade Wyatt Langford 2-4.
So that's not happening.
They would trade Wyatt Langford if they were if they were trying to do like what the Padres did and get Juan Soto a couple years ago from Washington.
Oh, yeah, it would be. I mean? It would have to be, yeah.
You're getting a superstar who's young.
Yeah, that exactly what it is. You mentioned Evan Carter there. What did Evan Grant have to say? Derek Holland's favorite reporter, Evan Grant.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I also just wanted to acknowledge the text here that you guys just want to trade everybody except for Seager and Simeon. No, this is not what we want to do. 318. We're just telling you what the reports are that the Rangers are allegedly willing to do right now.
I'll put my hand up and say I don't want to trade Corey Seager. You are correct.
Yes.
I don't want to trade him.
I don't want to trade him either.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, you just had yesterday, because we had the Bob Nightingale stuff. We had him on the show, and then as the day went on yesterday, you had the Ken Rosenthal piece where it's like adding more. Okay, it's not just expiring arms that you're willing to move on from. That makes a ton of sense. But now it's players under control, and it's some of your bats, and Evan Grant just threw in the Evaldi stuff, as you had mentioned, alongside David Robertson and Kirby Yates, that Bob Nightingale had said. But then Evan also listed, just like Rosenthal did. Now, this is 2 guys, one super local, understanding Evan Grant, knowing this team very well. Ken Rosenthal, one of the better national insiders. He's putting Nathaniel Lowe as Evan Grant, Nathaniel Lowe, Heim, and Taveras as well.
So
3
Heim
players
is the one he has.
Currently in arbitration, and Evan put in there like that those 3 guys would be owed about $20 million next year combined. So he says the Rangers might consider dealing one or more of them to avoid having to make decisions about tendering contracts, which would also free up money for free agency. So he's kind of playing that, hey, they'll have some more money in free agency. I just don't know if I totally buy Ray Davis with any of the money that gets saved on players that you're trading really going after anything to bolster the roster.
Yeah, and there is still a log jam in the middle of your infield, especially in the pipeline. So you've got Seager, you've got Simeon, Josh Smith can play some of the middle infield. Ezekiel Duran has played there.
You got guys.
Your top 2 prospects right now in your minor league system are middle infielders. It's Justin Foscue and it's Sebastian Walcott. So, I mean, there's going to have to come a point where that thins a little. So, however that is done, we'll see.